shir should be Le'elui Nishmat Rabbi David ben Nissan HaKohen, whose yahrzeit it is today. I just came from there, was in Rabbi Basus's shul. They had a big crowd there for the yahrzeit of Rabbi David Moradov, who I had the zechut to meet, and I spoke about him last year. I spoke at the yahrzeit last year. And then I also want to say the shiur should be for the refuah shalema of David ben Miriam, who today had an operation, Baruch Hashem, but was successful. So he's recuperating now. Eliyahu Eliezer ben Chana, Raphael Chaim ben Sarah, Yonatan Yitzchak ben Chana, and Adina bat Chana. All of them should have a refuah shalema amongst all the cholim of Klal Yisrael. And also, finally, I want to dedicate the shiur to so that our learning should be for the Sha'a Tovah, for the Hatzlacha, for the refuah shalema from the Brit Milah of the son of my cousin Freddie and his wife Alexi. They had a baby last week. We just came from the Brit Yitzchak. It was very beautiful. I heard something very nice from Rabbi Portal, who's the rabbi of this shul, which I would like to say very briefly. But before I say that, I'll say that now. Why not? Because let's get this out of the way, because it's a good way to start, and then we can get on to Parashat Bereishit. So Rabbi Portal mentioned something very nice which I had not heard before. He said the first 3 words of the parasha, everyone knows Bereishit bara Elokim. If you take the final letters of those first 3 words, it is Taf, Aleph, Mem. If you put those letters in a different order, you get the word Emet. So you see the Torah starts with the word Emet, truth. Then he asked a very important and very basic question. If the Torah is supposed to start with truth, why do you put the letters at the end of the word? So I wanted to suggest a simple answer, not necessarily a serious answer, but a simple answer, that if you put the letters at the beginning of the word, you would jumble up the words. You wouldn't be able to say the words properly. But, on a serious note, the word emet is at the end of the words because it shows that everything in life has a basis of emet. That in the end, for the good or for the not so good, not so apparently good, everything has to end with the emet. If whatever we go through in life, whatever stuff we go through happens to pain us, happens to hurt us, we can't see the sense of it, or pointing the fingers at everybody else, including Hashem, but at the end of it, there's emet. You're going to see the emet. It could happen in your life, could happen after your life, could happen generations later. The emet will always come out. And then I said something at the Brit Yitzchak, which I want to share with you now, that when a baby has his Brit Milah, there's a phrase that they say, Ze hakatan gadol yihya. This is the young one, Be'ezrat Hashem, he should be big. We say, he should grow. So simply, it means that here's a little boy chick. He's only 8 days old, or possibly more, depending. And we want him to be a big gesund adult. Nothing wrong with that. It's like blessing him with a long life. But there are many other deeper explanations to this. One, actually, funnily enough, which Rabbi Portal also mentioned tonight, he said that we also bless a baby with Ken Yikalas Torah L'chupa L'maasim Tovim. We say that just like he's a baby now, and he's innocent, and there's, he has no averot, so that's the same way we want to see him by the chuppah. We want to see him sweet and innocent, and that's true. If you think about it, every man and woman who comes to the chuppah, mocholin et kol avoratav, all their sins are forgiven. So it's a beautiful prediction. I want to say something different, which I heard from, in the name of Rav Soloveitchik. He says as follows, and it has to do with this week's parasha, which was beautiful. I was so happy when I saw this. There are 2 things in this week's parasha which are also katan and which are also gadol. Two other things. What are the two other things in this week's parasha? They are the luminaries which Hashem created. In other words, the sun and the moon. The moon being the katan and the sun being the gadol. Now, obviously, the sun is the katan and the moon is the gadol because they differ in size. The moon is much smaller than the sun. But also you could say that the sun is much brighter than the moon. But why is the sun brighter than the moon? And the answer is because the sun has its own incredibly massive and luminescent light source. It's huge. I wouldn't go anywhere near it if I were you, because it's very, very hot. Something like so many million times hotter than the earth. I can't remember exactly the exact figure. But it's got its own inbuilt power supply that Hashem put there. But the moon has no light of its own. The moon is merely reflective. It reflects the sun. So when we say to the baby at the Brit Milah, Zeh hakatan gadol yeh, we're saying something very pertinent. We're saying now you're a katan, now you're a yingala. Now all you are is a reflection of your parents. You're nothing without your parents, especially your mother. Your mother feeds you, your mother nurses you, your mother burps you, your mother changes your nappies or diapers if you're American. Your mother gives you everything. The father, okay, right, whatever, pachot o yoter, they have a different role. Hopefully they would also fulfill many of these tasks, but they can only feed the baby with a bottle. They don't have such a significant role like the mother. But still, all that the child is, up until a relatively advanced age within his childhood, he's dependent on the parents. Even when he gets older, he can't go and find a place of his own when he's 10. He lives at home. What's he going to do when he just passes driving test, 17, buy his own car? Highly unlikely. He's going to borrow daddy's car. So all the time they're a reflection of the parents. So we give a bracha. Just like now, you are a reflection of your parents. You're literally, there's nothing you can do by yourself. You're a helpless baby stuck on the kisei shel Eliyahu waiting for the Brit Milah. So we also want you to be a gadol. We want you to be self-sufficient. We want you also to become a father, to become a parent. We also want you to fulfill the will of the Creator. Zeh katan, now you can't do anything by yourself. Gadol yeh. You should be self-sufficient. You should be a light, just like your parents formed you. You should also be a partly in creation and have children yourself. That's the vort from Rav Soloveitchik. So, I had a small observation that I made between last week and this week. And it's got to do with a ceremony which most people, it takes them about 2 minutes. It happens every year. Rabbi, can I ask you, would you mind closing the door behind you? Sorry. Thank you. So, there's a small ceremony which we do at the end of the Yom Noraim, which most people ignore. It's done in 2 minutes. It's done at the end of shul. Once it's done, people forget about it. We don't even really ask what it is. It's called Hoshanot. What is Hoshanot? You take 5 aravot and you beat them on the ground. Now, remember we talked last week about the scenario if a goy comes to shul and he sees all these Jews waving plants and fruits and walking around the synagogue and they're shaking them and what's going on here? So if that isn't strange enough, now we've got people beating them on the ground. What's the point of that? Well, if a Gentile or a child would see such a thing, they'd write us off as insane. So, I'm not sure, I didn't really look into this deeply, but I had an idea which I shared with a few people. One of which happens to be David ben Miriam. my friend David, who added on something, and I'll explain it to you in a minute. So I wanted to suggest that if we look at the Arba Minim, of which one of them is the Arava, we look at the Arba Minim, each one signifies a different thing. The Arava is at the lowest end of the scale. The Etrog is on the highest end of the scale. The Etrog is supposed to be the Tzaddik v'tovlo, Tzaddik who has everything. He has taste, he has smell. Whereas the Arava is at the lower end of the scale. He doesn't have any taste, he doesn't have any smell. You would look and you say, it's a good for nothing. And in fact, the Arava, we say, signifies the Rasha. So why do we put the Rasha together with make it one of the Arba Minim? For the same reason on Yom Kippur that we play with the Avaryanim. Because we don't want our prayers to go up just tzaddikim sitting in shul. There are people who are not sitting in shul, who don't know about Yom Kippur. We want them to join with us as well. So we say Klal Yisrael is not complete without the Rasha'im. But I wanted to suggest that the idea that we had 6 weeks previous of intensity, especially by Sephardim who say the whole month of Slichot, we had the intensity of Elul, every day getting up, red eye, either waking up at 5 in the morning, or the red eye, 1 o'clock in the morning, saying Slichot till 2:30, whatever it is, 2 o'clock, 2:15. And then we had Rosh Hashanah, and Aseret Tshuva, and it's increasing Yom Kippur with screaming, and Ne'ilah, the gates are about to close. All this, we're begging and screaming to Hashem, forgive us, help us, judge us favorably. And then we have Sukkot, the time of joy, and we're all together in Sukkot, we invite people. After all that, if the Rasha is still the Rasha, if the Rasha is still a person who's apart, if he hasn't got the hint, then what do? We take him, we smack him on his head. We say, wake up! Tach, tach, tach on the ground. We've been praying for you the whole 6 weeks. We've been thinking about you, including you in everything. You still want to remain apart? We have to wake you up. That's one suggestion that I had. Could be wrong, could be very horribly wrong. I'm just saying it as a suggestion, and take it as you will. But when I mentioned this to my friend David, he said to me, is there anything you're supposed to think of when you hit 5 times on the ground? I said, yes, there is. There's a very simple kavanah that you're supposed to have. There are the 5 final letters of the alphabet. Mem, Nun, Tzadik, Pei, Chaf. Those are the 5 letters that are the final letters. And in Hebrew it spells Mantzapach, which actually is a name of a malach, if I'm not mistaken. So when you hit the Aravot 5 times on the ground, you're supposed to have in mind Mem, Nun, Tzadik, Pei, Chaf, while you're saying Chavit V'la Barich. So when I mentioned this to my friend David, he said to me, it's very interesting, because these 5 final letters, they all have, it's like a stima. When you say them, they're not letters like hey, which come out of your mouth. They're also final. Mem, your lip stop it. Nun, stops. Tzadik, stops at your mouth. Pei, also, is a very final letter. Chet, stops as well. As opposed to Aleph or hey, where your mouth is open. Hey, the word was used to create, Hashem used to create Olam Hazeh. Hey comes up beautifully, easily. All these letters are stops. Why is that? Because all the Rasha'im, they're at the end. They're like, they're right, they're the lowest part of the food chain. And I also had another thought, which is that there is a fate that the Rasha'im have. There could be a zechut for them. What is the zechut that a Rasha has after he passes away? They say that a tzaddik, if he has some sort of kapara, that when he gets to Shamayim, his ashes are scattered under the feet of the tzaddikim. And that is considered some sort of zechut, some sort of, because at least you're helping, you're underneath it, so you're connected to the tzaddikim. And it's just occurred to me now in Pirkei Avot, what are we supposed to do with our Rabbanim, our Chachamim? We're supposed to sit and wallow by the dust of their feet. So there is some zechut to be by the feet and by the dust of the tzaddikim. So this could be a zechut for the tzaddik. So we're saying, look, you have some sort of destiny, but don't let it remain like that. We say, look, the ground, that's where you're going to be. You're going to be underneath tzaddikim. Although it's something, surely you must have a greater aspiration than that. Surely you have to have a greater hope than just being on the ground. So these are two thoughts, plus another thought that my friend David had. I want to mention his name publicly because, again, we wish him a full shalom. This shir is for his refuah. So that was my thought at the end of Sukkot. Now we're going to have many parashiot, and we're going to talk about our Avot. We're going to talk about many exciting stories. It's a very exciting time, especially for the children in Avot Banim. They're hearing about Avram. They'll hear about Noach. They'll hear about Og Melech HaBashan. All these wonderful stories and beautiful lessons we can learn from our tzaddikim. Even the Rasha'im we learn from as well. And among these stories, in the past, I've mentioned things that I've heard from great tzaddikim about Gilgulim, about reincarnations. They say Noach is a Gilgul. They say Adam Arishon was Adam, Moshe, Adam, David and Moshe, or Adam, David and Mashiach. I can't remember which one. Even Moshe Rabbeinu was a Gilgul of Noach. We've talked about these things in the past. But the common question is asked, if there are so many reincarnations in the Torah, which are very evident from these first few parashot, why is there no mention of any Gilgulim in the Torah? Nothing. Not even a hint. All the knowledge we have about the Gilgulim is from the Kabbalah, it's from the Zohar, from the writings of the Ari HaKadosh, in Sharak Gilgulim, all these things. There's no mention directly in the Torah. So I had a very nice and amusing mashal, which I think really says it all. I'm going to add on a little thing as well to the end of it as well. And this scenario is something I can relate to, although Baruch Hashem I don't relate to it entirely. Imagine you're looking at a chuppah and you're viewing it from the outside. You see the chatan, the kala, the parents, maybe the grandparents are there as well, physically if not in spirit, and the rabbi is there. He's the Masada Kiddushin, he's conducting the ceremony. And he's saying, my dear chatan, my dear kala, how wonderful you've both found yourself under the chuppah. And marriage is a wonderful thing. It's all about giving. It's all about connecting. And maybe if they're getting married this week, he'll talk about Eze Kenegdo, a helper opposite him, and he'll tie in everything, and he's talking about it and saying how much you have to forego in a marriage to make shalom bayit. And as he's talking all these wonderful positive things, he looks at the Chatan and Kala and says, if you can't manage all those things, you shouldn't worry, because you can always get divorced. Oy vey. Imagine if you saw such a thing. You want to grab the rabbi by the throat and pull him out and say, what are you talking about? They're just getting married. You're talking about divorce. You're telling them there's a way out now. They're beginning the greatest time of their life. And similarly, imagine if there's a child who's starting his new year. Also very applicable to this time of year. He's starting his new year in school. And you say to him, son or daughter, I want you to try very hard this year. We've bought you all the new books. We bought you all your pens and your pencil and your pencil case. And we really want you to go over and above to try your very best this year. You're going to promise us? Yes, Daddy. Yes, Mummy. But also you should know that if you don't do so well, if you try very hard and you don't succeed so well, you don't have to worry, because you can always do the year again. What type of Meshuggah advice is this? You tell a child when he's starting the beginning of his school year, don't worry, you can come back and go down a year. You'd say this parent is crazy. So you apply these two stories to our Holy Torah, and you say like this. The Torah always teaches us positive lessons that we can learn for our lives. The Torah doesn't want to start, especially not start, with all these fallback situations. It doesn't want to talk to you about marriage and tell you about divorce. It doesn't want to talk to you about going to school and starting the whole year again if you mess up that year. It doesn't want to tell you about things like that. So of course it's not going to tell you, Adam Rishon was born, but don't worry, he mucked it up and he came back as a Gilgul. No. We want to tell you the best case scenario. We don't want to mention the Gilgulim, the reincarnations up front, because at the end of the day, and the Neshama that comes to this world has a job to do. When he does the job, he goes back up. When that soul is by the Hashem's holy throne, believe me, the last thing it wants to do is come back down here. It is torture for the Neshama to come down to this world. It comes down to this world because Hashem, as it were, forces it to come back here, or gives us a choice, and we have to choose to come back here. We don't want to be anywhere other than with Hashem under the holy throne. That's why, the one reason why it doesn't mention Gilgulim in the Torah directly. Now, prior to creation, we are told in the various Ketavim of our Rabbanim that this world is a very Kabbalistic idea, but this world was not the first world that Hashem created. Hashem created numerous worlds and existences before he created this world where we all are now. What does this mean? I'll tell you how I heard it. I can't begin to tell you that I understand it because I do not understand it. But I'll tell you anyway. Hashem created a world and he destroyed that world. Then he created another world and he destroyed that world. And he did this several times before he created this world, and this world stayed, for better or for worse. So now we have to understand, or we have to ask one question. Hashem is very good at creating because he created everything, because he is the creator with a capital C. Could you imagine, maybe you shouldn't imagine, but could you just think in an abstract way of Hashem creating a world, let's say on paper, he's like a draftsman, he's making the drawings, and he says, nah, no good, crumbles up the paper, throws it away, let's try again. No, you know what, I don't like those fords, I don't like those mountains, the rivers, nah, a bit schwach, forget it, destroy it, next, let's try this world. Nah, you know what, I'm not so happy with the continents, and the, forget it, boom, again. Hashem is making guinea pigs? He's trying out different ideas until he gets it right? What is this? So I heard a beautiful idea. Beautiful idea. What a way to start off the year with this beautiful idea. Of course Hashem did not need to create worlds and destroy worlds. Hashem could have created the world first time. Could have created the world without 10 ma'marot, without 10 utterances like he did. Could have created the world without having to do it 6 days of work. Could have done all of this. So why did Hashem create worlds and destroy them? Because he's teaching us a lesson. He's teaching us a life lesson that very often a person will start a project and work very hard at it, and it won't go the way that he's thinking it's going. And then he says, you know what? I tried so hard to do this thing. I'm giving it up. I'm jacking it in. I can't carry on. Hashem's saying, you can't carry on? I created worlds, I destroyed them, I started from scratch. So can you. You want to give up at the first hurdle? Hashem tried it Several times. I think 7 worlds are created before. Hashem didn't say, forget it, I can't be bothered. You want to start a project, a beautiful mitzvah project, and give it up because it doesn't go your way. You need to carry on. You need to get your head down and start again. You know, I hate to mention things from the world, the Welt. I hate to mention films or music or anything like that, but there was a certain film which demonstrated something very pertinent to this particular idea. There was once, based on a true story, there was once a doctor who was the doctor of various patients who were incapacitated. And he developed a certain medicine that healed them and animated them. And he did it with one specific patient. And this patient was almost completely immobile. And it was like almost completely incapacitated. And this person started walking and talking. But then ultimately, after all his work, with all the other patients as well, this patient started deteriorating. And eventually, in time, that patient went back to his vegetative state. What did the doctor do at that point? This Jewish doctor, I should point out. Did he say, I tried very hard, I spent so much money. Forget it. At the end, right at the end, when it seemed like it was his complete failure, he said, right, we're going to start again. Now let's begin again. Let's start from scratch. We had some success. It didn't work. It took time. It took money. Let's go weiter. Let's go ahead. I think from this, at least it's a Jewish doctor, is there's a true story. We should learn a tremendous mussar from this. If Hashem can create worlds and start again, who are we to give up at the first hurdle? Doesn't matter if it takes us time, takes us money. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing it right. And you never know. You never know. Many times, and I can't tell you how many times this happened to me or happened to people that I know. Many times when you start something and it seems like you can never carry on and you're about to give up and something inside you tells you, come on, one little bit more, it gets much easier. And it goes up and up and up and easier and easier and easier. It happens. It really does happen. You want to give up movies. Baruch Hashem, I gave up movies. Baruch Hashem, I gave up Goyish music. I gave up all the, Baruch Hashem, all these things. It was easy for me, it was very hard for me. Very hard, especially music. What did I do? I stopped a little bit and a little bit more. And then, when I was stuck in a corner, I was like, I just feel like, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And at that point, when it was so hard, things, Baruch Hashem, became easier. Listen, it's never going to be easy. There's always a constant battle. You always hear music, you want to talk about music and things like that. It happens. You want to, just now I talked about a movie, you see, but I'm trying to bring it into Kedusha. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult sometimes. You these things, but you've got to learn that at the most difficult point, if you fight that Yetzer Hara at that point, it gets easier. To build, it gets easier. And Hashem is just waiting for you. He's saying, come on. I want that little bit more from you. And once you've crossed that barrier, I wouldn't say you're on a home run, but certainly you won't have the ikuvim, you won't have the barriers, the obstacles that you had previously. And you'll see, take my word for it. It's not just my word. I heard it from different people as well. Now, we mentioned a lot about this week's parasha in previous shiurim. I want to say a few things I think I haven't said before. After Adam HaRishon did the chet, what do you think the first thing he did was? He was told about his punishment. He knew he'd done wrong. He knew he slipped up. The first thing it says, Pasuk Chaf in Perek Gimel, it says, Vaikra ha'adam shem ishto Chava. Ki haita aim kol chai. The first thing that Adam HaRishon did when he was told that he was banished from Gan Eden and all the punishment he was going to receive, he said, Ribono Shel Olam, my wife's name is now Eve. That was his first thing that he did. What was the point of this? What was he trying to do? What was he trying to say? He was giving a very important and strong message, because he knew that he slipped up. He knew that the chips were down. He knew that he was never going back to Gan Eden. That was it. He has to work now. He has to sweat. It's not going to be like what it was. He had a taste of the best, and it slipped away from him. The first thing he said was, my wife's name is Chava. And why was she called Chava? Ki hi haita aim kol chai. Because she is the mother of all creation. In short, he was saying, life goes on. I'm not going to put my head down like a donkey in the ground and mope and be miserable and go on Prozac and go on whatever drug is thrown at me and forget it. End of story. Life goes on. Tragedies happen. You get things taken away from you wouldn't believe. You suffer things you wouldn't believe. And this is all over the Torah, all over Nevi'im, all over Ketuvim. In fact, the greatest personalities in the Torah all suffered. Not one of the great personalities in the Holy Torah had it easy. Not Avram. Avram had Yishmael. Avram had 10 tests. Yitzchak, he had his head on the block. Yaakov, what can we say about Yaakov? Esav, Lavan, Dinah, Yosef, all the terrible things. Moshe Rabbeinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, he had it easy. 3 months old, he was sailed down the river. His mama put him in a box down the river. Brought up in a goy's house. Not just any goy, the worst goy. The worst goy in the worst place. In the worst Las Vegas within the worst Las Vegas. Just him. No other Jews. No rabbi there. No base of medrash you could run to. Nothing. Aaron was blamed for the Egel Hazav. They all of them suffered. All of them. David HaMelech. What can you say about David HaMelech? Did he have one moment in his life that was good? That he could turn around and say, oh, geschmack. Nothing. As a child. Cast into the desert. You go with the sheep. You go look after the sheep. We don't have anything to do with you. Because you're a mamzer. They thought he was a mamzer. They thought it was illegitimate. And all the stuff he suffered. His Rebbe wanted to kill him. Achitofel was his rabbi. Wanted to kill him. His son wanted to kill him. Did all these people put their head down and start taking rehabilitation drugs or antidepressants and say, forget it, I'm giving up on life, I'm staying in bed, khalas, God, do whatever you've done to me, finished? Not at all. They used that as a spur to take them to greatness. So that's the hallmark of our tzaddikim, our yesodot me'olam, our foundations of our world. That's the hallmark, is suffering. My friend David, I mentioned before, he had terrible problems. He went, they found a growth in his stomach. He was beside himself, but what did he do? Did he shake his fist up at Shamayim and say, how dare you, I've been such a good Jew, I'm a Baal Teshuvah, this is what you do to me? He told me this personally, he was with me this Shabbat. He told me, every suffering that I had, all the tests I had, when they shoved knives into me, they did all these biopsies, whatever me, I was in such agony. I said, Hashem, whatever you do to me, I'm accepting it, ba'ahava, with love. Whatever you do to me, if that's what you want to do, I'm happy. I'm so happy you're doing it to me. And they told him, you have to have your spleen removed. He said, Ribbon Shalom, you want to remove it? Remove it. Take it. It served me for 45 years. Now you want to take it back? Take it back, b'chavod. Now that is a level. That is a level to show Emunah and Hashem to such a degree. You accept your punishment in Avah. That's a tzaddik. That's Yisurim shel Avah. Hashem tests righteous people with Yisurim, troubles of Avah, of love. And you accept it with love. There's no higher level than that. There's no higher level. Accepting Yisurim with love, she'ein kamo. There's nothing like that. It was even making jokes with the doctors. You know how they do, people who, they make jokes. They told him you have to have your spleen removed. He said, can you explain yourself? How can he thinks of jokes at a time like that. What can he do? That's what he's like. Anyway, Baruch Hashem, he had the operation today. Hashem should give him full shalom. He should get back to his family healthy and well and lead a long, healthy life. Minus spleen, but without the spleen, you can still carry on. Baruch Hashem. So life goes on. There's no two ways about it. With you or without you. So if you're there, better get with the program. Now, Adam Arishon named every creature in the Bria. Horses, cows, chickens, crocodiles, gnats, whatever it is. And he also named himself. What did he call himself? No prizes for guessing? Adam. Why? Because he came from the Adamah, the ground. Why didn't he call himself Ish or Gever? Gever means strength. I am a Gever, I'm a strong man. After all, he wasn't a schnip. He wasn't a little pitzela. He was huge, massive. Before he did the Avera, he could stretch to heaven, cover the planet. A few more of those and forget it, there wouldn't be any room to move. He'd be like this the whole time. So he should have called himself Gever, mighty one. No, Adama, earth.
Was he a giant?
He was a giant.
Really?
He was huge. The Midrash tells us.
The giants that Moses sent, and they were giants in the land of Israel.
Yeah.
When they went to spy, they found giants.
Yeah, they were not as big as Adam Moshe. He was. You have to remember, he was created by Hashem directly, so he was massive. But again, when he sinned, his size was he was reduced in size. So he had every right to call himself Gever or Ish or something more. But Adamah, he called himself dirt. My name is dirt. My name is filth. My name is mud. What type of name is that? Come on, a bit of self-respect. So the answer to that, in part, comes from the Kriyat Torah that we have at Mincha time on Yom Kippur, which we had those few days ago. I don't have to tell you what type of day Yom Kippur is. We've talked about this many times. Yom Kippur, holiest day of the year, especially Ne'ilah time. So Mincha, you're approaching Ne'ilah time. You're at the zenith of the whole year. You're flying like angels. You're saying Baruch Shem Kavod Machuto Le'olam Va'ed loud and clear. Why you don't say it quietly like you say during the whole year? Because we're like Malachim. Malachim say Baruch Shem Kavod loud. We say it loud. Ordinarily we don't. Not on Yom Kippur. We say it quietly. Why? We don't want the angels to hear, because this is something that Moshe Rabbeinu took from the angels. He didn't want them to know, so he said it quietly. Yom Kippur, we're Malachim. Hashem is washing us clean of all of our Averot. We're wearing a kittel or a jalabiyah or whatever it is. Everything indicates, even the talit, white talit, that we are angels. So if we're angels, we're soaring in Shamayim. Hashem has given us the ultimate car wash. Naki, clean, no Averot. What do you think we should be learning about and praying, and what do you think the portion of the Torah should be telling us? We should talk about Kedoshim Tiyu, talk about Malachim, talk about holy things. What do we talk about? What's that parasha that we're laning from at Mincha time? Don't marry your sister. Don't do obscene things. This is Ereva, that is Ereva. Ribbon Shalom. Like I'm thinking about these things now. You're telling me all these terrible things, these abominations. What is this? Don't marry your sister then? I'm on a different level now. Why are you telling me these things? And the answer is Ein apotropos la'arayos, which is one way of saying it. But simply speaking, it means that whatever level you are on or you think you are on, you are never safe. You are never immune from the Yetzer Hara. You are never immune from being pulled backwards. There's no safe haven. I'm sorry to break it to you, but there's no corner you can hide in and say, I'm in home now. Nobody can touch me. It's like, when you're kids, you play the game, you touch the wall, I'm home. You can't touch me now. You can't do that with the Yetzer Hara. He's going to get you, or he can get you. You've always got to have your guard up. Now you could turn around and say, oy vey, what a terrible situation. Is that really what it is? So what's the point? But there's another thought. Just like the Yetzer Hara is everywhere, and it can get you when you're off your guard. But that's not the only thing that's everywhere. Because Hashem is everywhere as well. You can't hide from Hashem. You can't go in a corner. Okay, Hashem, you're going to stay outside. I'm here. Now I can do what I want. It doesn't happen like that. There's no special section in the world that Hashem is not there. You can quickly go and nip in and do a few Averas behind his back and come back and say, wasn't me. You didn't see me doing anything. Like you can put a like a bit of masking tape on top of the video camera and then steal what you want in the shop or behind the CCTV. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So this is what we're saying here. Despite the fact that you're standing on Yom Kippur with your kittel or your jalabiyah or whatever it is, and you're on a holy level, you are on a holy level. All the Averot finished, you've admitted everything, and Hashem is salach lanu, machal lanu. Don't think you can get away from the Yetzer Hara. And we're reminding you, you see these things? It seems totally alien to you. You're not even in that parasha. You're not even in that category now. It's the last thing you're thinking about. But there might be a time when you are thinking about it. So I want to remind you, be careful. So this is the same thing here. Adam Rishon said, I am Adamah. Whatever I am, I'm not a malach. I'm not a gever, a giant. I've got my head in Shemayim. I'm from the Adamah, I'm made from the ground. I know my limitations. I'm not going to forget that. I'm going to call myself after the dirt that I was made from to show me that it's very easy for me to slip back. But it's just occurred to me now, on a positive note, that's also a tremendous level to reach. To know that you have got your feet on the ground and you can soar high like the Malachim. You know what a level that is? To be on this world and to be reaching towards Shamayim with your Ma'asim Tovim, with your Torah learning. You can be even greater than the Malachim. They've got no Yetzer Hara. Malachim, white, wings, very nice, beautiful. I have the greatest respect for the Malachim. I wouldn't dare stand in the way of a Malach, Chas v'Chalila. But at the same time, Moshe Rabbeinu taught us, Malachim have got no Yetzer Hara. They've got no hand patting them on the shoulder saying, come to the casino, come to the cinema, Don't worry, you can go back to the base of Medrash afterwards. Come with us first. Come for 5 minutes. Come on, what's 5 minutes? Doesn't happen to a malach. A malach has a mission, and that's it. Go, do the mission. And that's it. Where's the sinning there? Where's the possibility of an Aveira? So for us to get to that level where our feet are on the ground and we can soar to Shamayim, to the lofty levels of the Malachim like we do in Yom Kippur, that's a tremendous level to be on. But we've got to be aware that we're not Malachim, we're not flying around. We have our feet on the ground, like it or not. That's the Metziut. That's the Metziut. So it's a tremendous thing to, excuse the pun, bring us down to earth, but also it's a tremendous level to realize you can reach up to Shamayim. Like the shir I gave last year, the man who stretched to heaven, about Yaakov Avinu, had the ladder down on earth, but it was Magia la Shamayim, up in Shamayim. Nothing can achieve feet in this world and head in Shamayim like a tzaddik, like a Jew has a potential to reach. And lastly, I want to finish off. Let's see how long I've spoken for. Ooh, okay. The famous, well, it's all famous actually. The whole parasha, there's all famous things left, right, and center. But it says here that Chava was created Ezer Kenegdo. That's another thing we mentioned under the chuppah. A woman that you marry is an Ezer. Ezer is like Ezra, is a helper. Kenegdo, opposite him. So, famous question, which one is it? Is she helping you or she's opposite you and fighting you? Simple answer is, most of the time, that's what happens. You marry a wife, you think she's going to help you, and she's beating you. But that's joking. But joking aside, how can you have this contradiction? A helper opposite you. So the Netziv Rav Naftali Yehuda Tzvi Berlin gives a beautiful answer. And he mentioned this at his own granddaughter's wedding when she got married to Rav Chaim Soloveitchik, the Brisker Rav, the holy Brisker Rav. The holy Netziv said this following thing. He said, there are two types of wives. I'm paraphrasing it slightly. There are two types of wives. Wife number one. You get married to this wife. You come home from a hard day's work and you sit down. The food is there waiting. And she says, how's your day? Fine, thank you. And you say to her, honey, do I look okay? Because I felt I had a hard day. I feel very rough. Do I look okay? Yes, you look fine. And then you ask her, you tell her, look, during my working day, I made this decision, that decision, I did this thing. Did I do this right? Did I do it wrong? Could I have done it better? No, just right, perfect. And then when you go to bed, whatever, at night, you want to sleep for, let's say, 8 hours. You say, is it all right if I sleep late tomorrow? You need it? No, it's fine, whatever. Whatever you do, everything she says, yes, it's okay. No, it's fine. Don't worry. Yes, 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 yes. Now, any husband listening to this will think, well, that's brilliant. Fantastic. Halavai, we should have a spouse like that, telling us, yes, 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 everything, yes, yes, yes. And then there's wife number two. So when you come home from work, and you sit down to that meal, and you say to her, honey, I had a really tough day at work, and I feel very haggard. Do I look haggard? Honey, you look terrible. You've got to spruce yourself up. You're going to go out like that. Your beard is all straggly. Your hair's all over the place. Clean yourself up. And then when you clear up the things, put the dishes in the dishwasher. Maybe you might leave one out. You left the dish out the dishwasher. What's going on here? You've got to help. You can't just leave things all over the place. And then you say to her, can I sleep late tomorrow morning? How can you sleep? There's so much you've got to do. What about your chavruta you got in the morning? You're going to let that go? And she's constantly on your back. Everything you do, she's got some answer for it. Again, any man listening to this shiur would say, it's too close to the truth. It's too close to reality. I get this all the time. It's a pain. Who wants that? You want that when you're under the chuppah. That's what you've got to expect. The answer is wife number 2 and wife number 1, they're totally the opposite of what we think. Wife number 1 who says yes, yes all the time, she ain't going to do you any favors. She ain't going to pull you up when you've done something wrong. Wife number 2 is going to tell you how it is. She may need a little bit of coaching from her Rebbetzin or wherever in the tact of telling you how to do these things. She may. Again, I'm not judging anybody. Chas v'chalila. But the fact is that wife number 2 will be much better suited to the person who wants to grow. Because you ain't going to hear the truth from anybody except for your wife. It's like the emperor's new clothes. You know, the emperor, with the thing where he had no clothes, and everyone said, oh, wonderful, you look so fantastic. Until he looked in the mirror and said, oh, Yvei, what's going on? Everyone's going to tell you, especially if you're a popular person, nobody's going to say to you, hey, you look terrible. Your suit, it's all dirty. Nobody's going to tell you that. Even your children are not going to tell you that. They got covered for the kibbud avein. Nobody's going to tell you that. Oh, but your wife, she's going to tell you. So said the Netziv, that's the kenegdo. That's the opposite you. Because she'll tell you right there, right then, she'll tell you how it is. Like nobody else is going to tell you. And that is the greatest bracha. That is the greatest bracha. To have a wife who's going to tell you that. Yiratzon, all the ravakim, all the singles in Klal Yisrael are searching so desperately. And even the ones who are not searching so desperately should find their zivugim. I'm including in this Mrs. Ahana's daughter. Bezrat Hashem, she should find us Shidduch Hagon. This year, no more waiting. In the zechut of the Torah that we're learning, and the zechut of her mother who's regular to the shiur, she doesn't miss the shiur. Well, we know about it. We sure know. She's on my back. I need the CD. So Yiratzon, she should find her daughter should find the shidduch. All the singles should find the shidduchim. All the people who are ill, like these people mentioned today, so many people who are ill, they should all have a refuah shlema. This year there should be no more illness. Wipe away all the tears. Mr. Morodov, Rabbi Morodov, who died so young, left family, didn't even, 2 of his sons didn't see his sons married. It's terrible. It's tragic beyond anything. Hashem should wipe away all our tears. And this year, bring this year, shefa, bracha, natzlacha, to all Klal Yisrael. And all the people who are prisoners, kidnapped, should all be released. The Pidyon Shavum is a huge mitzvah. Should all take part. And we should all be free and happy and healthy to come and dance together with Mashiach in the Bayit Shlishi. It should happen in our days. V'chein yosam v'amar amen.